There we go. So, welcome, a very official welcome to this webinar, the first time. So, my name's Sheila Basson, for those of you who don't know me, which is interesting because it's kind of, I'm hosting this and I've not hosted for a long time where I don't know many people on the call, which is lovely, actually. So very, very pleased to meet you. And I am hosting a free webinar with Kev Webster and Euan Jupp. I hope I've said that correctly. Is it Jupp or Jupp? I didn't even check.
It's Jupp. I've had a lifetime of
Jupp.
it. Don't worry. Yeah. Or
I like, it sounds a bit more continental, Jupp.
Jupp. Yeah.
I've
I'll
lived in
take it. I'll take
Spain.
it.
Jupp.
I'll take it.
Sort of thing you should have checked before you started, Sheila. But anyway, here we are. So we're on the webinar called The Hidden Truth About Practice Anxiety. And so I haven't known Kev or Euan that long. Kev, I met out here in Spain. I live in Spain in a place called Albia. And he came over to a retreat that I was organising last year, about a year ago. And we hung out, we clicked. He showed me a couple of his magic tricks, which I really enjoyed. Way to win over my heart. And then later on this year, he came over with his business partner, Euan. And while they were here on another retreat that I'd organised, they asked me if I would organise a retreat for them out here in Spain. So here we are because I said yes. And so this is all new to me. I haven't actually seen them work together online like this. I've seen them in person in a coffee shop and heard lots of banter going on. So I'm curious to see how this is going to go. So just for those of you who don't know who Kev and Euan are, I'm going to read just a tiny bit of their bios. So Kev is a coach, a hypnotherapist, and a lifelong creator who helps people reconnect with their inner wisdom and build lives and businesses rooted in clarity, not chaos. He's got 40 years of experience in marketing and design and personal transformation, and he brings a grounded, no-nonsense approach to growth that feels good, not forced. And then a bit about Euan. Euan's a coach and an entrepreneur and I said that quite with an accent as well, didn't I? Entrepreneur, hypnotherapist who has spent over 25 years building businesses and personally guiding others into deep alignment with their true nature. His approach is intuitive and catalytic, not about fixing issues, but about awakening to what we already are and have within. So I'm going to hand over to Kev and Euan. They are going to open up for questions a little bit later. So if you have any questions, just hold on to them and then we'll open a space up for you to be able to ask those questions. So over to you.
Thank you. Lovely introduction, Sheila, from Euan Juppé. Thank you. Much appreciative. I can't tell you how many times that name gets mispronounced. It's usually mistyped, actually. I get letters with Jubb, Judd, Jerk, Jack. But anyway, that's a separate issue. I'm not anxious about it, by the way. I've got used to it. So thanks, Sheila, for hosting this, facilitating this. Very appreciative. And for all that have come on this call this evening, there are many I do recognize, some I don't, which is wonderful. Love to meet new people all the time. So we're going to do about an hour's worth. There will be some time for questions at the end if they arise. So the subject really is, the hidden truth about practice anxiety. It makes an assumption that if you're a therapist, if you're a coach, if you're in practice of any sort, that there are times when you will feel anxiety. It's a recurring thing. It happens for many people. It's happened for me. It may still be happening for you. And we're trying this evening to really explore the nature of that, how we can manage that, or in fact, overcome that, where we can see that coming from. Because if we allow anxiety to become a dominant part of our life or to affect our practice, that will then go across to our sessions and the results that we want to see for our clients, but we're not going to get because we're bringing that anxious energy to it. Now, I've experienced this, I still do, when I first began in therapy, even though I had a lot of experience in business, in communication, speaking to rooms of thousands of people in conferences and seminars. When it came to therapy, I had all sorts of hang-ups about could I do this? Do I have what it takes? Am I ready? Am I going to cut it? And sometimes still, That happens. So if you're a therapist or whatever you're doing front facing with clients and you feel this, even though you might have been doing it for some time or you've just started as a practitioner, you will experience this at some time. Granted, it's how we handle this makes all the difference. And once we understand why we get anxious sometimes, where it's coming from, and how we can manage it, I tell you, it's night and day difference. So that's what we want to explore this evening. And none of us went into therapy, I'm sure, because we thought it was a lucrative business. There are people making very good money from therapy, whatever your modality is. Very few of us, I'm sure, went into it because we love marketing and selling. There's one thing that keeps coming up when I talk to practitioners, they love the practice side, but the marketing, getting out there and selling themselves is something which really does induce anxiety. All of that is surmountable. But I'm making the assumption that we got into this because of compassion, because we had a desire to see people's lives changed for the better. Perhaps our lives were changed because someone talked to us, someone did something in our life that gave us a transformative experience. And we thought, I want that. This makes me come alive. I can get passionate about that. So if that is you, then this session is for you. It's not about sharing techniques tonight. I know that that's something we want. How do I do this? How do I do that? And we're looking for some sort of template, shortcut, blueprint. It's not about techniques. It's not about trying harder. It's about lifting the weight off your shoulders to help you see where really that anxiety comes from and how you can process it in a different way to flourish rather than flounder. So that's what we're going to explore this evening. And it'll all be, I'm hoping, transformative, an exploration into what is already inside you, every one of you. It doesn't matter how old you are, how qualified you might be. We all have something of exceptional ability and capacity within us that we're going to tune into this evening. Right. That's the sort of foundation for this evening. Hope that makes sense. Again, if you have any questions, we'll save a space at the end and we can explore those. Kev.
Okay, so before we begin, I would like to invite you to take a nice breath and just settle for the moment, because what we're exploring isn't really about a technique, as Euan has said. It's not a mindset hack. It's not another way to manage anxiety. It's a different way of seeing where your experience is coming from. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. And then something will shift and you'll get a deeper, lasting experience of the way that you, I guess, experience things like the stress of anxiety calls or the empty calendar, money worries, impostor syndrome. Impostor syndrome, I mean, it's pretty indicative, especially in the world of hypnotherapy. And, you know, what if nobody books me? Or, you know, what if I'm not good enough? Or what if my skills aren't honed enough? And what we see there happening quite a lot is that people they come to us and they'll say, I'll be ready when? I mean, if I had a pound or a dollar for every time I heard somebody say, I'll be ready when, I'll be a rich man. And it's always about thinking that they've got to add something. And what I've seen really is that comes from a place of insecurity, because the stress that they're feeling, and just a little side note here, when we're feeling that stress of being not good enough, then we are prey to marketers. It kind of allows all sorts of messages from the marketing world to get under our radar, of the BS radar, and to sell us things that we don't really need or are never going to use. I mean, how many? I asked the people, I'm not going to, but if I asked people to put their hand up if they've ever bought a course that they thought would help them be better equipped or whatever, and then never actually did the course at all, and it still sat on the laptop, I'm sure a lot of hands would go up, because I know I was guilty of that so much. constantly buying books. You know, Amazon's made a fortune out of me. But the reality is, stress isn't coming from your situation. It's coming from the meaning that your mind adds in that moment. So just let that land. Think about that. It's not coming from the situation. It's coming from the meaning that your mind adds in that moment. Because the truth is, the experience of your business is never created by the business itself. It's created by the way you think about it. The stories, the predictions, the interpretations that quite naturally move through your mind. And it looks like the outside world is doing something to us. But it's always the way that we're treating that, or we're using the power of our thinking. That's why two practitioners that can have completely empty weeks and one feels like a failure. I'm hopeless, nobody wants to buy my services, and we get into that story and the other person gets real excited and it's like, oh great, I've got loads of space to create. That's me, by the way. If I have a quiet week, I'm creating. I become a content creating machine because I just see it as being, I've got all this time. It's a gift. Same situation, completely different experience. And that is because, you know, the source of the feeling wasn't the calendar, it was the thinking about the calendar. And what's happening is that your feelings are telling you about your state of mind. Your feelings are telling you about your situation. And when you're in that low state of mind, then everything looks like a problem. But when your mind settles, then that exact situation feels more manageable and it's full of possibilities as well. And yet, nothing out there changed. Only your thinking about it changed. And you know, there's ways of kind of handling that in the sense of just recognizing the quality of the thinking that you're having in that moment. That your feelings are a barometer. And you know, instead of trying to constantly fix ourselves, you know, affirmations, confidence tricks, you know, morning routines, mindset exercises, breathing techniques, imposter syndrome worksheets, visualization methods, you know, hours of journaling, all those things about trying to fix ourselves. Because I'm not saying those are bad things, but the way I see it is that relief is temporary. Because all of those techniques are attempts to fix your thinking. And it's kind of too late because you've already thought it. So by the time you're anxious, you've already formed that thought. By the time you're stressed, the meaning has already been added to it. And by the time you're catastrophizing, the movie's running already. And that's why you get relief when you do those techniques. But it just comes back. And we don't feel our circumstances. We're feeling the thinking about the circumstances. So, you know, trying to control the world or even control your mind is working at the wrong level. So what we're saying is that you don't need to fight anxiety. You don't have to build confidence. You've already got confidence built in. It's part of the blueprint of who you are. You don't have to work on yourself. I hear so many people saying, oh, I'm really working on myself this year. It's like hearing that is like somebody saying to me, I'm going to go and find myself in another country. And I'm like, well, you're right here. You don't need to find yourself. I found you already. You're here. Save your money. But it's always the idea that it's something outside of us. And the reality is our thought is always shifting. It's always self-correcting, and we don't have to, you know, we don't have to fix it. It'll settle on its own. And I bought something. And just, you know, and it's a bit of a gimmick, but if we look at what happens when we shake a snow globe, you know, all of it is all super active. And yet when we do nothing, when we're still, everything just settles down. And that's what we're talking about here. about really finding that stillness, that quietness, and trusting that once we find that quiet space, whether I go for a walk, that's my happy space. I go for a walk. It might be that you like to have a shower, or you basically go and do something else, walk away from the computer. But when your mind goes quiet, then you get that clarity moving in. And that's when we get the creative thoughts. That's when we get those ideas that it's like, oh, why did that idea come from? Well, it came from you. It came bubbling up from the depths up to the surface because you gave it space to appear, because you got quiet. So, and that's not a technique, going quiet. That's you just settling and relaxing and not chasing. Stop trying to be confident. What do they say? Fake it until you make it. And instead, you just come home to a simple truth. And that is that you're always one fresh thought away from a different experience. So that's what I wanted to share in that piece, that we don't need fixing. We're not broken. And we have everything that we need built in as part of who we are.
Yeah. When you see it, as you say, Kev, you can't unsee it. This understanding that actually, if it's our business, it's our private life, it's whatever our world is composed of, there's nothing out there that can actually touch us. I know that in some ways is a revolutionary statement, but things on the outside are what they are. Sometimes they shift, of course, the content moves, the quality of them changes, but essentially what we are experiencing life is, as you say, it's how we're interpreting what's going on out there. When I think about our business life, I think of a way when I was beginning in therapy, when I only had a handful of clients and was a bit unsure how about those sessions really had gone on, because the buggers didn't leave feedback, which is always a problem, getting reviews for sessions, because you're always left wondering, I wonder how that really did go down. And of course, your mind then starts to fill in the gaps. I bet it must have been terrible. I bet they didn't get anything. I bet they're gossiping in the village now. This guy's a complete twat. Don't trust him. Don't look at his marketing material. Don't get in touch with this guy. Pull down his posters and stuff. And then before you know it, we're trying to mind read every situation out there. We're trying to guess and fill in the gaps of what people are thinking about us and what we're offering in terms of our business, our practice. And it comes as quite a shock. And it's something you have to really feel into rather than try and think about. But when we understand that really our life and our experience of life is simply the feeling of how we're thinking about life, it suddenly makes such a difference. Because we realize we're just living on all sorts of assumptions about the world out there. And as we think about the world out there, as we think about our practice, our marketing, our selling, our this and that, and our offers, we get to realize actually that none of that actually matters. It's how we are processing all of that. And if we process it in a certain way, we'll get down about it, that we're not really making an impact. And we'll try and fill in the gaps with, I need more training. I'm not ready for this yet. My confidence is really low. Perhaps I need to get on some confidence courses. Then I'll be ready to go to the next level of my practice, when all of that is just head noise. And as you dwell on that, as you sort of fixate on that, that noise just builds in your head. And as those thoughts increase, the feelings then increase. And as those feelings increase, you really start to feel that you don't have it as a practitioner, that you do need X, Y, Z to fill in the gaps. Now, I'm all for, developing myself as a person. Kev is doing it. I'm doing it. investing money on a monthly basis in all sorts of things because I want to be a better version of myself. But that hasn't stopped me going out today and making changes. I've taken some calls today, and I realize that there's something within me, as there is within all of you, that some people will resonate with, that they can be changed thereby. So if there's anyone on this call this evening thinking, you still are in training, there's still a long way to go before you can help people, that's really anxiety talking. You're trying to convince yourself that you don't have it when we do. One of the greatest truths we've stepped into is to realize that you and me, we're all the same. We all share access to this universal mind, infinite resources, infinite wisdom when we need it. When we just let that snow globe just settle down, there's a space where we can all access what we need for our practice. And beyond that, for our life, for our relationships, for our finances, all sorts of things then get really positively influenced by the understanding where our experience comes from. Now, here's just a little experiment. If you're new to this sort of way, some examples. I just want all of us right now, okay, without falling asleep, just to close your eyes, just to become aware that it's just you here. Don't worry about anything else, but just to close your eyes, okay? This is not hypnosis. It's just simply becoming singularly focused on this idea that I want you to become aware of, that a time recently when you felt stressed, overwhelmed, or perhaps anxious, let's use that word, when you felt anxiety about your practice, about you, your abilities. And maybe you're getting it now. Maybe as you think about that, you're starting to feel about that stressful situation. You're starting to relive that anxiety. Just think about that. Just dwell on that. Just let that percolate for a second. And you might remember, you might recall when you were experiencing that, you had certain feelings that caused doubts or just a bit of inattention. Now think about this, that at some point, maybe it was, quite soon afterwards, or perhaps it was a day later, that the same situation was still there externally. Yet the feelings changed, the feelings shifted. You didn't feel that stress. You weren't anxious. You just weren't going through the same emotional responses that you had been, even though the externals were still there. The external influence, it didn't affect you in the same way. As you just ponder that, ask yourself the question, what changed in me? Was it the situation, or was my state of mind? What really was the difference? What changed? Was it what was going on out there? Or was it my state of mind? And you just come back now, just open your eyes. And maybe as you thought about that, not overthought it, but just thought about that, maybe something just shifted within you when you saw, yeah, actually, the thing remained, but something was different about it, that I wasn't experiencing those feelings. Maybe one or two of you just want to notice something that you just latched onto there, something you felt when you thought about that example I gave. You could just quickly unmute yourself and just share that, whatever that was. Just speak to anyone, recalling that situation.
I recalled something from quite a long time ago.
Okay.
I'd say it was a couple of years ago. I had someone come in to see me, and for some reason I just started to feel anxious about seeing this person. And while we were going through that, I felt that knot come back in my stomach that I felt then. And then when I saw this person, it was absolutely fine, of course.
Why was it suddenly fine in it, I wonder?
Well, they were there for a start, so I could stop thinking about it because it was actually happening.
Hmm.
So it was all the thinking that went beforehand that was causing the problem. Because I was thinking about all the things that could go wrong. At not one point did I think to myself, oh, well, it could have gone well. It could go well.
Yeah.
I've done this enough times.
I mean, typically it does go well, doesn't it?
Usually.
Subjective as that
And
is.
even if it doesn't, you can wing it.
Yeah. I think we've all done that from time to time. But you said that it was the thinking about it
Yeah.
which makes the difference, of course.
It was all the thinking, all the scenarios that I was creating. I was being very creative.
Oh my God, our imagination is, isn't it? The worst case, what if? Catastrophizing. What if they don't like my voice? What if they, my techniques are not going to hit? What if, what if, what if?
There was something about this client, and I cannot for the life of me now remember what it was. But until that session, that's all I thought about.
Yeah. And how did you started feeling the weight of your thoughts, I presume? Or what?
And then this knotting and this tightness.
Yeah. I wonder how many of us are carrying that as we think about turning up, performing in our sessions. And I think it's a good thing in the sense that we really are compassionate people. We want to see change in our clients' lives. As I've said, there's very few of us doing it for money. Those who do want that usually don't stay and make money, but it's commendable that we want to do this. And so I think the anxiety about getting transformation for clients is a natural thing, but we have to understand it's our internal processing of it that then creates that anxiety, which then gives us that experience. Our consciousness brings it alive. That must be really what it is out there when it's not, because our thoughts shift in a different direction. And all of a sudden, I'm excited about this session. It's going to be good. Whatever happens, I'm here. I'm turning up, and I'm going to give it my best shot. That's insightful. Anyone else? Just recall now a similar situation when it wasn't really the externals of your session. It was just the way perhaps you were thinking about it. And then you noticed that shift and you thought in a different way. Anyone? All right. Well, I think the conclusion there is that, as we've been trying to highlight here, much of the nervousness, the tension that we feel about these things is just something we are generating. And I've thought about this in numerous ways recently because I've gone through a house move and all sorts of things. And externally, there's been a lot going on in life. There's been things, perhaps you don't like about the government of your country, about finances. And we tend to think that person really bugs me, or this situation really gets me down. No, it doesn't. It's simply our processing of it, our interpreting it, our thinking about it that makes us feel a certain way, which then becomes a behavioral thing or an emotional thing we experience. And that might sound very simplistic, but for me, when I really understood that privately and also as a practitioner, as a therapist, as a business person, and it's night and day difference. Because I realized I was in control, that things can do what they want out there, people can be what they want, but how I'm responding to that is the most important thing. That's given me my experience. That's given me clarity. And within me is also this access to wisdom for any situation. I think sometimes in practice, we're unsure about what we should do. And that's when we perhaps revert to technique and we're not really present in the moment, listening for what's going on. But if we understand we have access to this innate wisdom, that we're never far away. As Kev said, we're just one thought away from that innate well-being. Then suddenly we're able to connect once more with what all of us have access to. So anxiety should reduce, if not disappear. That's how I see it. And it's been very helpful for me in practice. Kev, anything to add on that?
Yeah, Linda has commented in response to your
Sorry,
request,
Linda.
and she said that unpredictability, a difficult personality, people's unrealistic expectations, a person who can't switch off for something and the session doesn't land well, a desire to give value for money and solve the problem, and the fear of letting the client down when it's not my fault but looks like my fault. Possible unfairness when I've studied so hard and done so many courses, and the concern that I may be perceived as taking advantage of people. That's an incredible list, a fantastic list. And I would put it all under the heading of pressure. You look at it and it's kind of like we put ourselves under so much pressure. And it immediately makes me think about the word presence, because I operate from a position of presence when I'm working with a client. I realise it's not all about me. It's not all on me. And this is something that has shifted really over the years. I used to go with a briefcase full of scripts and information and every trick in the book. And now I turn up with nothing. I turn up with trust in the process that something great will happen. So we put a lot of pressure on ourselves, and putting that pressure on ourselves creates an awful lot of insecurity. And then we're feeling that sense of insecurity. Then we go on that chain, that thought chaining mill, and it creates lots of feelings that we believe are true when they're not. And when we get an insight, it doesn't require any effort. There's no pressure. There's no techniques. There's no mental gymnastics going on. It just requires us to notice something that has already been true our whole life. We're born with that natural ability, that wisdom, that insight. And yeah, most of us grow up with, believing that our experience comes from what's happening around us, like, deadlines, clients, money, family, the future, the past, our business, our to-do list. And it can become really, really heavy. And when life feels busy or uncertain, like on that list from Linda there, we naturally try to fix things, try to fix ourselves, or try and fix our feelings. But here's the shift. And it changes everything. Your mind has a built-in reset. And when you stop wrestling with your thinking, then that clarity returns all by itself. And I'll give you a really quick example of this, what happened to me on Monday evening. On Monday evenings, I travel about 25 miles to go to a martial arts class. And I always set off early because I like to do a little bit of shopping at the supermarket beforehand. And I kind of like cut my time, nice and tight, but I can get some shopping in, and then I can go and find myself a parking space in the residential area where the class is held. And this particular week, I got my parking spot right near the doors, and I was like, oh great, I'm not having to walk like half a mile across the supermarket car park. And I just glanced at my phone, and I'd got a message from a student and said, Kev, is the class tonight or is it tomorrow night? Because you've sent an email out with, I'll see you Monday at 7:30, and then in the email it says Tuesday 7:30. And I'm like, oh no, rookie mistake. I didn't check the email properly before I sent it out. And I know, I was rushing. And I thought, I'll get that email out tonight, and then I don't have to do it when I get home later, because I've got an appointment when I get home later. And I thought, oh, you idiot. Fancy doing that. That is a rookie mistake. I'm always telling people to double check things. And I thought, well, I can't fix it now. But I was annoyed with myself. Anyway, I got out my car, went into the supermarket, did my shopping and everything, got in the queue, and it's a busy time of night. And there's quite a few people after me, and I'm there in the queue, and I'm, the assistant's, scanning everything, and then she said, oh, have you got your barcode for your discount, all that, did all that. And then she told me the price and I went, oh, my wallet. I'd forgotten my wallet. I'd left it in my car. I always put my wallet on the seat next to me in my car. And I thought, oh, damn. So I apologised to everybody in the queue, ran out to the car park, ran back in again. Very kindly, the person who was being served kind of like stood back, and the cashier said, oh, well, we'll get yours sorted now. So I got my card out and she went, oh, you'll need to scan your code again on your phone. I'm get into my phone, showed her that, and I could see there was and I was imagining that people were impatient. I mean, some of them might have been, but I was caught up in my thinking about it all, and my feelings have been, what a wally. I never do this. And then she said, oh, if you'd just like to tap your card. So I went to tap my card on the card machine, and it said, rejected, please insert. I'm like, oh, I can't believe this. So now I've put my card in the machine thinking that the world's conspiring to make me look a right plonker. And what do I do next? Instead of putting the PIN code for my card into the machine, I put the PIN code in for my phone for the machine. I'm like, what am I doing? I use my PIN card my card all the time. So I'm thinking, right, okay, it says I've got another chance. Then I put in my code to open the screen on my computer at home. Why, I do not know. And then it said you have one more attempt, and I just stopped. And it was almost like everything froze in that moment. And I just said to myself, relax, settle down. And my fingers just went 1, 2, 3, 4. That's not my code, by the way. And that was the proper code. I didn't even think about the numbers. My fingers knew where to go on that keypad. It's done it 1,000 times before. But as I'm walking, I thanked everybody for the patience. I thanked the cashier for the patience. And as I'm walking outside, I just thought, wow, am I grateful for that wonderful example of getting caught up in my thinking. What a great example. I'd forgotten all my, the irrationality. I'm putting in the wrong codes in for the card. I got caught up in my thinking in the moment. The feelings were there of everyone's judging me. I'm thinking I'm going to be late for my class. I was 5 minutes early for my class. I was fine. I got a parking space straight away. But I just sat in my car and just settled down, and I thought, what happened there? And I realised what happened. Basically, that email that I got, that message that I got to say that I'd got the wrong dates, I'd really taken it as being very personal. And I was feeling annoyed with myself. I was putting pressure on myself. I was even thinking, can I actually get into my platform to change my emails now in this moment? Like it mattered that much. And there was a great signpost. And I was grateful. Because do you know what? We all get caught out. None of us are perfect. But the fact is, we have a built-in reset. And that's what I accessed. In that moment, I just said, calm down. I got that built-in reset. I stopped wrestling with my thinking, and that clarity came back. And it just shows that we don't have to work on our thinking. We don't have to force that calm. We just need to stop. We don't have to solve our feelings. We don't have to analyse our feelings, because we already know how to settle. The same way that our heart knows how to beat, our lungs know how to breathe, our hair knows how to grow. It isn't something that we create in clarity. It's what happens when we're not tangled up in that storm of thinking. So I just wanted to share that. And thanks, Linda, for sharing that, because that was, you really covered everything in that one about pressure. So, Euan, I think you've got something to share with us as a little bit of an experience.
Yeah. One thing I just picked up there, Kev, was never to go shopping with you. Sounds like a stressful experience.
Not usual.
Yeah, that's very insightful. Very insightful. And it's amazing how quickly we do let it escalate into all sorts of things. What if I then just before we know it, it's just run away from us. till we can salvage it. Reminds me when I began, I would take all my books in from my therapy training sessions, manuals and manuals, sit down with the client. And I was so fixated on them, I was anxious because I was wanting to get technique right, the flow of a session right and everything. And perhaps, one or two of us have experienced this, and it just takes us away from being in the moment with our clients. We might be making some of this anxiety ourselves. And as I said, we are. It's not coming from external sources. It's just the way we're thinking about a session. A hell of a lot of pressure on ourselves sometimes. When, as Kev said, and I'm discovering, I'm trying to be present. I know that might sound a bit woo-woo or pretentious on my part, but I don't take preparation. I am the preparation, as it were. I try to be mindful of what I'm going into with a client, reminding myself of what it is that they need help with. But even then, I used to think I was the savior of the world, particularly my old coaching style. But all of your clients have the answers within them. And the pressure is somewhat deflated when you realize the solution, you don't have the solution, they do. It's simply a matter of guiding them to what's already within them. And we've talked about that innate health, that universal energy that animates all of us, has infinite solutions. I know hypnotherapy is one way perhaps to access them, but there are other ways as well. And it just relieves us of a lot of pressure once we see that they have the solution already. Otherwise, we feel we have to come up with something innovative and novel. Anyway, I thought this would be just a good little, what can I call it, an activation visualization, where I want you just to ponder something, but be in the moment, I suppose. That's the important thing, where we can just let any anxieties go. And maybe you're thinking about some session tomorrow or something that's down the line and it's got you worried because you're putting unnecessary expectations on yourself to perform, to do something in your marketing and so forth. It's all superfluous in one way. It'll pass. So again, I just want to ask you just to imagine you're going into a really beautiful space of absolute quiet and solitude. And the best way to do that is probably just to close your eyes, because that really does help us remove the external distractions. So just close your eyes. And again, if you're a therapist of any sort, you will know that breathing just helps us to relax. It's just to access a different state of mind, a higher state of mind. And as you become more aware of your breathing, you'll just notice that your heart will just calm down. You've brought anything this evening that's made you a bit anxious, nervous, overthinking. Start to become aware that that's falling away now. It's dissipating. You don't need to hang on to it. It's not serving you. And that's in your control to let it go, because that's all anxiety or stressful thoughts are. They're just thoughts. Let them pass. Let them go by like clouds across the sky. You don't need to hang on to them. And as I keep speaking, you'll become aware that that's exactly what's happening. Some of that stress is going. You realize it's superfluous, that actually it doesn't really exist as an external thing out there. It's just the product of our active minds, the way we're interpreting situations. Perhaps if we blame things all the time out there, we will miss really how our experiences are being created moment by moment. And even as I say this now, some of you are really starting to get some sort of insight into the nature of your thinking, and perhaps how it's been getting in the way of your practice, your private life. And some of that illusion is falling away, even as I speak, starting to see things differently. And as you see things differently, or you think things differently, you feel things differently, and your experience changes. And just let your conscious awareness bring it to life in a different way, empowering you to know that you've access to every resource. You don't need to go to some sacred space on the other side of the world, follow some ritual, a guru. It's all within you. All you need, every resource you will ever need to live your life successfully, to flourish, is within you. You have 24/7 access to it. I cannot add anything to it. There's nothing to add. You've got it all. Every asset. You're in the flow of that divine mind, Christ consciousness, God, call it whatever you want, but I know that you feel it. And in this moment, just ask yourself the question, when I'm at my best, I am naturally what? What are you? When you're at your best, most effective, most in tune with your client's needs, with yourself. When I'm at my best, I'm naturally, what is that word? Don't overthink that. Just listen for the feeling of that, for an energy almost, I suppose. What is that state? Tap into it. Feel into it. Don't rationalize it, analyze it. For me, it's being present. When I see myself as being in service to my clients, that I don't have to impress them. I feel I'm at my best when I'm in the moment, present, listening, not thinking about tomorrow, family, or whatever. Just present, enjoying the moment, knowing that being in service is its highest reward. Anything can come out of that. There's always a potential for shift when we're just there with compassion to serve people, to be present. Just sit with that for another few seconds and see what speaks to you. What do you feel? That's it. All right. Just simply breathe out. I said breathe your last and then come back into the room. I don't mean that. I don't want you to be anxious about that. Maybe that was a useful exercise. We just reflect on these things, not overthink them, but ponder when you consider these things. I'm at my best when I'm naturally just present, calm down. And I love the snow globe thing, Kev. It really is poignant. All that froth of thinking going into our business, marketing. I've got Facebook tomorrow. I've got a YouTube video. And that's on top of everything else. Just let it all go. In some ways, most of that is superfluous. It's not going to change the world. But what does change the world is the presence you bring to your sessions. People pick up on anxiety. That's the last thing we want to transfer to them. Coming from a place of mindfulness. So I hope and I believe that this evening you've seen where our experience comes from. And if before you've been thinking, well, it's all out there and that's I blame that person, my upbringing, my mother was this, and, you know, advertising, my practice is very difficult and you don't understand. Well, the truth is, all of that is an experience of our thoughts that we feel and then we consequently feel as being the reality. But it's not. We can shift from that. We can change. We can access what we need to very quickly, permanently. Kev and myself will be dealing with these sorts of things and a lot more on a very special retreat that we are doing next year with Sheila in Albia, Spain. Now, we were there this year as like two naughty schoolboys, we kept being told. And it was the first time I'd met Kevin. Yeah, we did a few silly things, of course. We won't go into detail at all. But we just felt at that moment, this would be wonderful to bring people in our orbit and beyond into experiencing, you know, what we're doing, how we're evolving, and some of the understanding and the insights that we've come into, because we've found them to be profound and life-changing. So with Sheila's help with it, we've organized an event for next year in April time. And it's going to be called the Still Point Retreat, where we'll be talking and exploring these sorts of ideas, but also to, you know, just being more mindful of who we are, what we possess, life that becomes not striving, but simply living from the overflow of what's already inside us, listening for that voice and returning really what we call home, where we can access, you know, really wonderful living that impacts our relationships, our business, and so forth. Now, I could go on and on about that. But we'll share a link in the end how you can access and what bit more about that is. But Kev, have I forgotten anything that could be useful to people on this call this evening?
No, I think you've covered everything there about the retreat, but I have got something to share, and that is a very short video about the retreat. That kind of says it all. So what I will do is I will just click on here and click on the share. Oh, I need to share my sound as well, and share that, and share the. Just give us a thumbs up, Euan, if you can see that on the screen there now. Am I sharing that on the screen?
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
Okay, right. Let's see if this will play and we can hear the sound. Just give me a thumbs up if you can hear the sound straight away.
Are you a therapist or business owner feeling stuck, tired of chasing the next strategy, the next technique, the next solution? What if clarity for your business came not from doing more, but from being more present? Welcome to the Still Point Retreat, April the 24th to the 26th, 2026, in sun-drenched Albier, Spain. 3 days on the Costa Blanca, where professional transformation meets Mediterranean magic. Here's how it works. Morning and evening sessions with Kev and Euan, grounded in the 3 principles, where you'll discover the clarity that makes everything in your business easier. No forced strategies, just deep insight that reveals your natural path forward. Then, well, the rest of the day is yours. Swim in the sparkling Mediterranean, explore beautiful coastal walks, savor incredible Spanish cuisine. Whether you're coming solo or with your partner, Albier is your playground. This isn't about adding more to your business toolkit. It's about removing the noise so your innate wisdom can guide you. So decisions become obvious. So client work feels effortless. So your practice thrives from presence, not pressure. Perfect for solo travelers seeking clarity and community, or couples wanting to reconnect while gaining business insight together. 3 days, professional breakthrough, Mediterranean bliss, the Still Point Retreat, where your business clarity doesn't come from another course, it comes from remembering who you already are. Your practice is waiting to transform. Reserve your place now.
I want to be there.
I could watch that over and over.
I've seen
It
it
is
so many
wonderful.
times, that advert. But yeah.
Absolutely wonderful. Sheila, would you like to share the link to that page? Because I know we have an early bird offer. I've never been to Spain in my life until a year ago. It was just never a destination of choice, really. And then when I went along to Albia, to Mark Howard's webinar, fell in love with the place. Absolutely, yeah, amazing. The food, the prices are just so reasonable. For me, it was a vacation as well as a retreat. And then Euan and I went back out again in November to Dominic's and Grace's event. We added extra days on, so we were there for about 7 days because it was just so lovely. We went into a restaurant that day. This is just to give you a feeling of just how welcoming the place is. We went into a restaurant, a Sicilian restaurant, and we had a meal there, and we were chatting with the owner, and then I returned a couple of weeks ago to Viva 2025, and I went into that restaurant, and as I walked into the forecourt of that restaurant, the owner, the lady, ran out and gave me a big hug, and she asked me if I wanted meatballs again, and I was just like, "You remembered what I ate?" And she went, "Of course I do," and I was just blown away by the hospitality. So it's not just a retreat, it is an experience. And Euan said there would be time to do your own stuff, in the afternoon and on an evening. Well, we wanted to add a little bit more to that, where we're going to give some optional choices of doing other things as well. I mean, there's a beautiful lighthouse walk, so maybe a lighthouse walk and picnic, or if people weren't feeling so sort of physical in it. They might want to stay back in the hotel, and I would put on a little bit of some training around mentalism and magic as a lovely way of communicating the nature of illusion and thought. I use it all the time with clients just to show them how easy we can fool ourselves. And so, you know, this is what we're putting together. We want to really make it comprehensive. So, yeah, if that appeals to you and you've got any questions about it, then please just get in touch with Euan or myself or Sheila. You'll find us all, if you're not connected to us, all of us on Facebook. You know, happy to jump on a Zoom, chat with you about it if you've got any questions, or if there's anything that's come up from this call that you've got any questions for that you forgot or you didn't want to ask in public, or that you thought about afterwards, then please, you know, we're inviting you to get in touch. But I think we've got time just to open it up for a couple of questions. Now, if you would want to unmute yourself or put your hand up, and then, you know, we're going to try and finish on time. But yeah, shall we open it up for a couple of questions and see if anybody wants to ask anything about whether it's about the retreat or about what we've been talking about? We'll do our best.
Seems to be a couple of things in the chat, but I can't see them there. It'll be their questions.
Yeah, Alan put, I think you should redo the video with "There's nothing beats the Jet 2 holiday music."
I know, I know, okay, I get it. I wanted it to come across as playful, because it will be, you know, it's relaxing as well, but okay. Carry on camping.
We couldn't resist the video. I mean, you know, Euan has got the voice of radio.
I'm told.
If you've got a question that you want to put in the chat and you don't want to unmute yourself, then please do that.
Kev.
Yes, Amanda. Hi.
Hi. Where would you fly into?
Alicante.
Alicante. And what sort of price are the flights? I'll just make a note of that.
Oh, well, I think the flight, the last time I went out, is about 230 all in, return to Alicante. And then there's Sheila's got some really good rates with the shuttle company, Benny Connect, which is about a half-hour trip from the airport to Albia. So, and you can fly into Alicante from Leeds Bradford. So that would be convenient for you because you're up in Scarborough, aren't you?
Yeah, cool.
But Alicante is a great central spot. And as I say, the actual transfer is great. They're brilliant. I mean, when you're leaving the day beforehand, you get a text telling you where the pickup's going to be. It's so efficient. I mean, it couldn't be more relaxed. You know, I've had such a great time there. It is wonderful. But yeah,
is it possible to stay on sort of longer, or would we have to look for different accommodation, or?
No, Sheila's negotiated wonderful rates at the Palais Robert Hotel. Beautiful food. You know, you can get an all-inclusive for, I mean, when I went, I don't know if prices have gone up, but when I went, I think for about £70, it was full board per night.
Right.
And I've even got a swimming pool. It is wonderful. But yeah, as I said, Sheila's negotiated great rates. And we get coffee and frittata and cakes and everything in the breaks in the morning and the evening sessions as well. You're well looked after. And but no, we stayed for an extra 7 days in total, and it was only a 3-day retreat that we were on. So yeah, it really is something to be, you know, if you want to extend it either way, you know, the beginning and afterwards, you can do that. It's well worth it. A three-course meal for, is it 21 euros? I think, Sheila, I went to Riva one lunchtime at the Viva 25, and it was 21 euros for a 3-course meal. Just incredible.
I remember 13 euros at one of the places we went to. Exceptional food.
It's the one for 13 euros, yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. Sheila, is there anything that you want to add?
I think you've just sold Albert very, very well. I mean, I live here, so I'm very biased. I love it. Yeah, the Benny Connect, the Hotel Robert Palace. I've been using that hotel for years and years for my retreats. They treat us very well. I don't know about a frittata. It's called a tortilla española. So, you know, Spanish omelette. But yeah, they're
Apologies.
the best. The best. I think you might be in the wrong country for a frittata, but
It was delicious.
Yeah, we're well renowned for that. But yeah, it's really, Alicante is such an easy airport to fly into, and we're well connected. Everything was in the hotel's literally a 5-minute walk from the beach. The beach is gorgeous, and as Kev said, there's a lighthouse walk right on our doorstep as well. So it's got loads going for it. Hence me, like for the last 13 years, I think it is, been running retreats out here. It's and a place that people keep coming back to over and over again. So yeah.
And remember, nothing beats a Jet2 holiday to the Still Point retreat, albeit.
And Jet2 do boys from here as well.
It's right in there.
Well, if there's nothing else, I mean, I just want to say thank you, Kev. Thank you, Euan, for your shares and your stories and the video, which is very entertaining. Thank you for that. Yeah, and I look forward to, if anybody has any questions at all about anything, you can get in touch with me, Sheila@SheilaMassan.com. You'll find me. The page is actually on my website, so you'll be able to find me there. And I imagine there might be another one of these on a different topic somewhere along the line. Yeah.
Look forward to that.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll be repeating the webinar.
And we'll be sending out the recording. I'll be sending out the recording at some point tomorrow for those who would like to listen again, and obviously for those that have missed.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we did say we'd end on time. We've only gone 5 minutes over. That's not bad at all, is it?
No.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thanks,
Take care,
everybody.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you. Wonderful.
All right.
Bye for now.
Good night,
Thanks.
everybody.
Good night.